You're listening to the Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast. Brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technological advanced silhouette decoys on the market. And Vortex Canada, the force of optics.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Union 0430, episode 117. And we got him back. And he's just back from Canada, too, which is awesome. So now we get to pick his brain because, no vaccine requirements to come into Canada anymore. So all of our fucking Yankee friends are coming up and they're able to take part in hunting and they're able to bring, and the American scientists, they've allowed you guys to bring birds back across the border now for some, I don't know who fucking shook them up, but anyways, everything's all good. Everything's back to normal. People are able to travel into Canada to hunt. They're able to bring birds back to the States. All is well in the world. The moons of Andor have aligned, and we've got Eric Massey on with us tonight, coming to us all the way from Kansas. Mark is on with us tonight, coming to us from Nova Scotia. Ryan is trying to lock down a field for the weekend. Dave is on a fire call, and Philly is out in Saskatchewan right now, freelancing, and he's just having a bit of a ball. He sent me a picture today. They went on a Drake only hunt this morning. So just nothing but greenheads and some pintails. So no sprigs yet, still a bit too early for the sprigs, he said, but they're getting into them. But anyways, Mark, good to see you, buddy. I think this is the first time I've been on with you in a while, Mark. So trying to get everybody's schedule fucking freed up. And Eric, yes, and I'll tell everybody, I am wearing my white tangle-free hoodie tonight because that's my only one I got left. Don't worry, it's not snowing up here yet. So for all of you south of the border that's expecting that big rush of birds, now that you're seeing the white hoodie on me, we had 20 degrees Celsius today. So here in Kingston, so what's that? That's about 69.
60 something. Yeah,
about 69. So yeah, the birds aren't coming down to you just yet. You still got a little bit of a wait before those cold fronts start pushing birds down to you. But Eric, buddy, great to have you on again. Welcome. I wish I could have got out west and hooked up with you and Stahl and the crew. That would have been awesome. But how was your trip out west? Where did you go? Were you in Saskatchewan or Alberta?
Manitoba.
Oh, Manitoba. Oh, fuck. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So just literally, I mean, as straight north of me as you could go, right?
Yeah.
Through South Dakota, through North Dakota, and into Manitoba, about 3 hours. So,
okay.
Yeah.
And how was the hunting with lots of birds?
It was an interesting drive up there. It was, we saw birds further south than we had ever seen them. We saw them almost when we got into North Dakota. We saw them all the way through North Dakota. Winnipeg was just absolutely jacked.
Yeah.
All the way up there. Yeah. And I think a lot of it had to do with the water, right? The flood and everything that saw. Yeah. So when we got up there, it was a little bit different. We got up there, drove through the night, and combines were still moving. I mean, harvesting was just getting away. It was they were just cutting. So it was a little bit different. We spent the first couple days locking down stuff that didn't have birds on it. We knew things were going to change that quickly, right?
Wow.
I mean, as people were starting to cut, I mean, it's amazing how an uncut barley field, all of a sudden, there's not a goose or duck within 5 miles, and all of a sudden that thing gets cut, and you can't freaking beat them out of there with a stick for the next 3 days. Yeah. It's amazing how fast they find it. But so that was a little bit different. And then the water, the water in that area of Manitoba the ditches were full. There were fields that looked like, water had been there for a year. It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So more ducks than we'd ever seen. The the fields themselves weren't wet. It was just that there were wet holes, you know,
right.
in places or whatever. So
wet holes in Manitoba.
Yeah. So it was a little bit different. But then so we had to change, you know. We had a pea field one day, and we thought we were going to ride on that for 2 days, and then all of a sudden a guy down the road cut a barley field, and it was, you know, we had to go get the barley field, and so we had to do a little changing. But other than that, it because there was a lot of fields that weren't even sown in, right? I mean, there was a lot of like dirt fields. So some of the feeds we found were way bigger than anything we found in the past, right? Where you'd have fields that had 500 to 1,000 for 5 miles straight, and now all of a sudden you had a pea field that had 5,000-6,000 honkers in it. And you were like, oh shit, you know.
Wow.
So there was a couple fields we hunted twice. I mean, you get in, get out, do your thing.
Yeah. And then go hit it again.
Yeah. We had 2 residents with us, so we kind of had that buffer zone, you know. So we just went up to 5 a person, you know. That way, if there was a blind or something that stall had to run, we knew we kind of had a 6-bird. Yeah. 6-bird buffer, right? Three. You guys have what, 8 or 6 or?
No, we're at 5 now. Down in Ontario. So we're at 5. At early season, we're at 10, but we come down to 5 then.
Is that just for residents as well?
No, I don't think so. I think if you guys were here, it's that resident goose hunt, right? So they're just trying to knock out the resident birds. So I think if you guys are here in Ontario during that week before, I think it's 10 birds for you guys as well.
Gotcha.
It's just the Ontario regs. Whoever wants to come hunt in Ontario, those are the limits.
Yeah.
Or it depends on the part of Ontario, obviously. Because down by Windsor, it's like 2.
Yeah. We screwed that up as well. A couple of us who had normally purchased the licenses there when we get up there. Yeah. A couple of us tried to buy them here online because everything was on. You know, you can do it online. And dumbass me, I picked non-resident. Because I mean, you look at it and you're thinking, oh, I'm a non-resident. And then you get up there, they're like, yeah, no, you're a foreign resident. And I'm like, oh shit, you're right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, non-resident is still Canadian.
Oh, fuck. I would have. That's good to know, because if I ever come, because I would have done the same thing if I come stateside. I would have been like, no, I'm not a resident.
In the States,
it's really bad too, because it's the first choice. So when you log on to Manitoba, the first choice is like obviously resident, and then the next choice is non-resident. So you're like, oh, I'm a non-resident.
Yeah, that's right.
And it sucks because then you get up there and you have a foreign resident. It's like a $75 difference or whatever. Oh, and they're not going to give you money. They're not going to give you the money back. So you basically have to beg for them to put it back on your card and then purchase a new license. But it's all good. It all worked out, but borders were they were packed.
Really?
Getting in and out was easy as far as once you got up to the windows.
Yeah.
But it was the wait. We got up there, terrible timing. We drove through the night. We got there about 10:30 or 11. Yeah. And 5 lanes went down to like 2. Right. And then 2 went down to 1, and we were screwed. So but other than that, and then coming home was that day that the vaccine got lifted. And everybody, I don't know what the hell the deal was. I don't know what you guys were trying to get down to South Forks or North Forks or whatever to go to Shields or whatever it was. But we were in a line. Every car had Manitoba plates, and I was like, oh yeah, shit.
Oh yeah, buddy. Oh yeah.
So I didn't know that it hadn't been. So have you guys been able to come to the States for the last year?
Yeah.
But you had to have vaccine cards or?
No. So the states could care less if I was vaccinated or not. So because I cross over fairly often here. So they could care less. It's just when I come back to Canada, the fucking government has this, it's called Arrive Canada app. You guys probably would have had to fill it out right before you came into Canada. Yeah. So that's a pain in the ass. And you got to show that you got to show your proof of vaccine and all that shit. If not, you've got to show that you're going to isolate and all this. And you know, all that, right? Yeah. But I think that Arrive Canada app, that's going the way to Dodo. Yeah. That's going the way to Dodo Bird as well. So I think we're the only country. I think we're the only country in the fucking world that's still holding on to these COVID restrictions.
I'll tell you what we did not do. We didn't bring anything back. We gifted everything up there, which we normally do anyway. But I'll tell you, some of that stuff is just gray. I don't know. We just didn't want to test the waters, and I watched a video the other night of a guy, doing it and saying how to do it and all this stuff. And we were just like, you know what, we have the places up there that are already gifted. And we were like, let's just gift it. It's not worth it. So you always feel like an idiot when you drive back through, right? Yeah. Hey, you've been up here 9 days. Were you successful? Nope. Don't have anything to show for it. Really? You didn't bring anything back? Oh, nope. Not a bird.
Nope, not a thing.
Not a thing.
Mark, when Eric started talking about coming up through North and South Dakota, you seemed like you wanted to say something.
Well, let's get down to the brass tacks here. You've seen all those birds before you hit the border, and the real reason they were there is because the same reason that people choose. They just didn't want to be in Manitoba. So they were,
they're trying to get the fuck away from Winnipeg. They're trying to get away from Winterpeg.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh, there, buddy.
I said it.
There, he said it. But today, did you see Stahl's post today, Eric?
Oh yeah. Those were just all molts too.
Yeah.
So that's one. Yeah, that's a great thing that we saw.
That was insane. What was it? What did they have? Like 6 or 7 bands there? That was crazy.
Yeah, I think that was, and that was just molts. I think they killed another couple that were older bands or whatever, but those were all just molts. And he was pretty he was pretty encouraging. I mean, he would look at everything, and he's damn near a scientist, so he knew how young things were and that type of thing. And so he was pretty encouraged by the numbers as far as that goes.
Oh, that's good. And that I was waiting for you to send me a video of Carl going and retrieving a bird, and then you going out and retrieving a bird. I was really hoping for you to send me something crazy.
Oh, I'm sure we have it for sure. Yeah,
that's awesome. Eric, buddy, I know you probably listened to it, but a while back we had Corey on.
Yeah,
and we were pretty excited because I think we were the first podcast that Corey had done. He usually stays away from that stuff, so he had come on and we had talked about this relationship between Tangle Free and First Light. And it seems like the more I'm watching social media now, it's another, like if you thought Tangle Free was one dimensional, where, they had the Max 5, and then they went Sitka with the Optifade, and now with the Typha, like Tangle Free is really setting themselves up to be that one-stop shop, regardless of what your camo pattern is, if that's a fair thing to say.
Yeah, his model, his direct-to-consumer model, has allowed him to be flexible. Yeah. And more so, it's kind of allowed him not to tie yourself to stick or something like that. But the thing is, and you've seen it just in the last 3-4 months or whatever, things change, man. That whole Sitka group has changed. Like our contacts that we had 2-3 years ago have changed.
Oh yeah.
Just like all of us. I mean, their positions grow, their family situations differ. They change jobs. They do different things. And if you're just locked in and latched on just a content guy, 6 months later, a new content guy comes in and you have to kind of rebuild all that. You have to gain trust. You have to do this. So
big dive.
Kind of stand back and you're a little more flexible and you're kind of like, hey, we want to partner with good people, with great, with good products and some, and it's worked well for him. So,
oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's worked. I think it's worked extremely well for him. I'm seeing more tangle-free posts on social media now than I ever have. And I think it's because of the diversity that the company is able to put three of the best camo pattern, or three of the most widely used camo patterns out there. They're able to put it on almost all their products, right? So it is very diverse, and I'm seeing a ton of tangle-free posts on social media now, so it's good. I love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
But
and what's been cool about it is that that category, of course there are waterfowl hunters in that category, but the majority, I think, and this is just from my perspective so far from Meat Eater, is it's a little more big game.
Mm-hmm.
But all those guys waterfowl hunt. Maybe they don't designate their entire season to it.
Yeah.
A lot of those guys are, they start with elk, or they start with, this. And when they go back to their house, their homes or whatever, maybe they waterfowl hunt with families around holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So they're waterfowl hunters. They might not be, waterfowl chasers like some of us.
Yeah.
And that's been cool because I've got to talk to a couple of those guys or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's.
But the thing that I found out about all those guys, well, not all of them. I've only met probably a half a dozen of them. But every one of them started out as waterfowl hunters. That was the first thing they ever hunted was ducks and geese, right? And then they just evolved into big game, and then elk and deer and sheep and everything else, and then traveling all over North America and the world. But for the most part, they all cut their teeth chasing ducks.
Jump in a pond or jump in a creek.
Yeah, so it's really cool. Yeah. It's really cool. I like it. I think it's really awesome.
That whole, you can really see how you can get completely hooked on some of those videos with an elk up close and the sound and stuff like that. I mean, I'm like, holy shit, that is really, really cool.
Well, now we're treading into Mark's territory, right? Because Mark was a big game hunter before he was a duck hunter. And I would say, Mark, would you consider yourself, even today, you would consider yourself more of a big game hunter than a duck hunter, right?
No, I'm 50-50. I try to spread myself across the board on whatever I'm doing. Like when I was in Ontario, I fully embraced turkey hunting along with bear, deer, and I would travel back to Newfoundland to hunt moose with my family. But waterfowl was a huge part for a while, but then it spread back out. It evened out again. Now it's across the board. I try and do whatever.
Yeah.
Life right now has a lot of other things going on, so I don't get to do a ton of any of it now. But I'm trying to get back into it again. So that's where we're at.
I like the camp aspect to some of that stuff too, right? Deer camp, elk camp, that kind of thing. It's one of the reasons I was and still enjoy bow hunting for deer, but bow hunting for deer in Kansas, it does take up. I mean, it takes up so much time, and that's kind of like all you're doing or whatever. But right. I love the aspect of like the camp kind of feel of like going for a week and a half to elk camp with my buddies. I could do that. May not kill one, but I would enjoy the aspects of camp.
Yeah, like that's something. So this weekend, we're recording tonight. It's Thursday. So starting tomorrow, Dave and I are on our way to a place here in Ontario. So we've got a guide. He's putting together a hunt. So it's a co-ed hunt. So mostly couples, husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. They're all coming. Yeah, they're all coming in. And they're going to hunt for the week. And it's a camp, same thing, right? We're staying in cottages. Everybody's got their own room. And it's, Friday night meet and greet. eat some good food, have some drinks, get up early Saturday morning, hunt Saturday night, and then hunt again Sunday morning, and then clean birds, clean up, pack up, and everybody gets on the go. We're doing that this weekend. So the 8th and 9th, and then the following weekend, we're doing it again with a bunch of dudes. That's going to be a strict goose hunt. So if ducks come in, obviously we're going to be hunting fields. So mallards, ducks and fields is not a common thing up here. So if you're hunting fields, you're looking at geese. If you want to get into ducks, you got to be hunting over water, right? So, but that camp mentality, that camp life that you're talking about, where people come together and complete strangers is for a lot of it. They've never met other than online or through Facebook or Instagram or whatever, but yet everybody comes in, they all understand why they're there. And you're right. Just this camp life of everybody eating together, drinking together, telling funny stories, making fun of one another, all that good shit. It makes the hunt. And as much as, I want to see piles of birds and people smiling and getting their money's worth. Everybody says, well, we could care less about the birds. It's all about the laughs and the food and all that stuff. But for me, I'm happiest when I see people just surrounded by mountains of birds.
Yeah. And then once you get the first pile, it's pretty tough to just be like, oh, it's not about the birds.
yeah, exactly. Everybody, I've said it before, but deep down, I've been like, listen, like I enjoy everybody's company. I love yous all. You're all great friends, but I came here to shoot birds. Yeah. And, that's, but I wanted to talk to you and, last year we had done this show, you, myself, and Bobby Hayes, and we really was talking about the why, and we were really trying to dig down into duck hunting and waterfowling and stuff. And a couple of weeks ago we had Stahl on the show, and Dave had asked Sean right at the end, any advice you want to throw out, and Stahl had said, we're jerks to one another, and our hunter recruitment is down low, and we need to be more welcoming to people and bring more people in and get more people in duck hunting and stuff. And I remember when we were chatting last year, like we were trying to bend your son's ear, and we really, because it was easy for us to say, well, this is what we're doing and this is what we think would work and stuff. And here you are with a 19-year-old kid, and we really wanted to know what his thoughts are on this. Like, what is it that the 19-year-olds are looking for? So it's been a year now, and I know he's playing baseball and he's got a lot of stuff on the go right now. But did you ever get a chance to talk to him and find out exactly what it was that those 19-year-olds want to see from the waterfowling world?
Yeah, we actually we did even better than that. We actually got to take him. So we took him to ended up on his break, and it worked out. He went to Oklahoma with Stahl, with me, with the crew, and he was part of the crew, and he got to see that. So of course he got to witness the But what was important was the work. I mean, the first morning when the alarm went off at 3:45 or 4, and he was just like, what in the hell? What are we doing? And I was like, well, this is lessers. And so, I mean, we're probably an hour and a half, 40-minute setup time. And he's just like, are you? But the hunt itself showed why we did that. Yeah. We put wad after wad of lessers in front of us and, this stuff. And he said, is this how it always is? And I said, well, no, it's not. No, this is not how it always is. Yeah. But if you put this effort in, you have a better chance
absolutely
at seeing it. And he, and then he got to see all the other aspects after the hunt.
Right.
It's pickup. and then it's beat the streets again, and it's line up, and it's that kind of stuff. He liked that because it was kind of a competitive feel,
right?
You're trying to, it's one of those, maybe we may get a field that maybe we don't hunt, but we're going to get it so you don't hunt it.
Yeah.
One of those deals. And he liked that aspect of it way more than just like, hey, I'm going to go down to the public marsh, or I'm going to go to the marsh, and that kind of thing. So we got to see that sort of part of it. And then we got to see him in that, environment. And it was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah.
So,
how important was it? Like, once it was all over and it was just you and him back sitting at the house and chatting about it, how important was it for him to be around the crew? And the reason why, like, those fellas have forgotten more about goose hunting than I'll ever know, right? And it's work to them, and they put in all the work, and same with you, Eric, right? Like, you guys are traveling all over the States, up into Canada. You put in all this work, and it is work. But you still have a ton of fun, a ton of laughs. It's not always a smasher every day. You have to have a certain attitude in order to wake up every morning at 3:45 to go out and chase these things, not knowing if it's going to be a smasher or not.
Right.
So how important, for you as a dad to be able to surround him with Stahl and those guys, and be able to, teach them the right way. Right. Listen, we're putting in work, but it's no guarantee.
Right. Yeah. Listen, he taught us some stuff too on the other side. There was one day where we were going to do traffic. We didn't get it done on the scout. We didn't have it, but we did have a place that we knew they were, coming back to the lake. And we had a good idea that it was going to be decent, but it would have been a very easy hunt to just bang, just be like, hey, not going to happen. Let's take the morning, let's scout, and let's just bang tomorrow. And then, so we can really set it up for the next day.
Yep.
I mentioned it to him at lunch the day before. I'm like, man, it's not, and he's like, well, but this is my only trip. I just got back from college, and this is my only trip. And I was like, yeah, you're right. We take, and I've told you this before, we take some of that stuff for granted.
Yeah.
It's easy for us to be 7-8 days and maybe bang one day because we don't think it's going to be a banger. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for him, he was like, no, I mean, he did not want to take one day, because he's like, this is, that's his whole season was wrapped up in about 7 days. Right.
That's right. Yeah.
Break, and that was it. So he was not going to just bang one day. And we were kind of like, we needed that little reminder, like, guys, this is, we are blessed. This is we're in a pretty cool position here. Let's do it. And it turned out to be a good one. It wasn't anything, incredible or whatever, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
It wasn't
of
like
course.
it wasn't like it was miserable and it cost us anything. It worked out. So we learned some things from him. We also had at that time we had a 19-year-old and a 90-year-old in the blind.
Smokes.
It was what is his name? He wrote a book years and years and years ago. Him and his wife literally travel all over and hunt, but it was cool. So you had a 19 and you had a 90, and their perspectives, guess what, were exactly the same.
Oh, I bet.
This 90-year-old was just like, oh, what an incredible day. I enjoyed it so much, this and that. And the 19-year-old saying the same thing. And we're in the middle kind of going, it was wasn't a bad, this and that. And we're like, all right, we need to shut our face. We are lucky to be here.
Yeah.
Let's go back. Let's have breakfast. Who cares?
Oh, buddy.
So it was, that one was super cool. I'll have to get that guy's name, but I'm
not going to lie. I love hunting, but a very close second is the breakfast after the hunt.
Yeah, no doubt.
Mark, we've had some doozies.
Oh, buddy, I'd say one fall I put on 25 pounds just for breakfast, and that's what grinding every that's what 3-4 hunts a week. So 3-4 hunts a week for an entire fall.
Yeah.
So you're working for all that, and I used to work my ass off. You asked Damien, I every hunt I was working my ass off, and I still put on 25 pounds in a fall.
What's crazy is like when you get like that, how you stop at gas stations and you stop at stuff, you buy stuff and eat stuff that you never eat the rest of the year.
Buddy.
Like I'm in a gas station in Manitoba and I'm like, oh man, these Funyuns look good. You know, I don't eat Funyuns. I don't eat a Funyun all summer. I don't even nothing. And then all of a sudden in the wintertime, it's like, oh man, beef jerky and Funyuns sound so good.
There was somebody put a post on Instagram the other day, and it was one of the maybe Split Read or somebody like that down in the States, right? Like very big following. Anyways, and it was walking into a gas station and taking a handful of Little Debbie's and sticking them in a bag, and they were like, oh well, back to gas station burritos and Little Debbie's.
Ours was egg rolls. There was one place that just had like egg rolls, and I was like, why do we keep eating these? Everybody's like, oh man, my stomach's upset. Next morning, I'll do 3 egg rolls and 4 potato wedges. It's like,
it's awesome. So,
I don't think I'm gonna eat an egg roll, until our next trip.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. Absolutely.
But those are the some of the things that you remember. There was. Well,
of course, those are the funny things, especially when if a fella gets a little short taken and he can't get to the hunt, or he slows down the hunt because you got to stop for him, and the fella's just ripping on him and giving him a hard time, and like those are the things. And don't get me wrong, again, I love getting piles of birds, but there's some funny stuff that happens to and from the field that. You can't predict it, right? Especially when you're eating gas station burritos and gas station coffee.
Yeah, or flavors of Mountain Dew. I didn't even know there was other flavors of Mountain Dew. Now all of a sudden in the last week I've had like 6 different ones. I'm like, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I think Jeff Coates, when we were, I'm pretty sure it was Jeff switched to like Diet Dew. Just because the amount of sugar that was in the regular Mountain Dew, he just couldn't do it anymore. I'm pretty sure when we were in PEI hunting last year, he was on Diet Dew. Was that last year or the year before?
I got to about Sioux Falls, and I was like, I probably need, number 1, I need to diet. Number 2, if there would have been like an Alcoholics Anonymous nearby, I probably would have checked in for 48 hours before.
No doubt.
Little bit of detox time, when you come home. But,
yeah, absolutely. So what's on the calendar for you now? Like you're back home now. Do you have a couple weeks home before you hit the road again?
I'm leaving again next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, for a quick one. And then I'm going to go to California with Corey.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so that's going to be super cool. Those limits are crazy. And that's just some fun. And that's a camp kind of feel kind of thing. It'll be with him and his dad. And
cool.
Just the family or something. So that'll take me up to November, and then I think mid-November is our next one. And I'm not sure where. So I think Stahl's going to do a couple boats. I think he's he got that new boat, and he got that Express sponsorship, and he put a blind on that and all that stuff. So I think he's going to do a couple of those trips.
Okay.
With the boat, and then we'll start chasing lessers again about December 1.
Oh, wow. And then, so what about your young fella? Is your young fella coming home for Thanksgiving?
He's got he's got a short Thanksgiving break. And so we'll go just us around here for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't have a long Christmas break again. So we're going to have to try to figure something out.
Okay.
He had that extended one because of COVID.
Oh, okay. How many home runs have he hit this year?
He hit 2 in batting practice last week. Went 2 for 3 with 2 doubles against a pretty good Seminole State team. So
yeah,
they play
Florida.
No, down in Oklahoma.
Okay,
Southern Oklahoma. So they'll play mostly in Southern Oklahoma and like North Texas and things like that. While it gets cold.
Oh yeah.
Which fall baseball is beautiful at the beginning.
Yeah,
and then just miserable. Like, it would make you want to quit. Kind of deal. So
yeah, well, I'm a bandwagon baseball fan, so I'll start watching now that the Jays are back in the playoffs. And
that's right. That's right.
So I'm not I used to be a real big fan of ball one time, and then I don't know, I just got away from
slow. It's too slow. It is unwatchable on TV. I will say that.
Yeah, I don't know, but like it's still I get that it's slow, but I still enjoy like when that crazy catch is made or that monster home run is hit or the mind games that are played in a tie game in the ninth inning. Like it's slow, but it's still fun. For years I couldn't watch football. For years.
Really? Like I couldn't NFL football?
I couldn't watch it. And then a bunch of years ago, the NHL, the hockey, they had striked and there was no hockey. So I got into football and I still don't know everything, but I really started to see the thinking behind football. And then I just fell in love with it. So like my Sundays now is football. That's what I do on Sundays is I watch football because I fucking love it. But Mark,
hockey in the States here is crazy.
Dude, when I was in Missouri,
you don't live in an area like St. Louis Blues, you will see more. You'll walk downtown and see more Blues jerseys than you almost will, anything else. But Kansas, we've never had it. We almost had. Was it the Penguins maybe at one time?
That was possible.
Yeah.
Before Crosby came along.
That's exactly right there.
I was in Missouri when the Rams were still in St. Louis, right? So the last year the Rams were in St. Louis. I was down by I forget the name of the town. Anyways, I was in Missouri and I wanted to go see the Blues play. And Chicago was going to be in town. And the people, so at this bar that I used to go to, they were like, forget about it. You're not getting tickets if Chicago's in town. Don't even think about it. If Chicago's in town, that game's been sold out for ages. And I was like, really? And I was shocked, right? And they were like, dude, you'll see more Blues jerseys downtown than you will see Rams jerseys downtown.
Yeah.
And I was floored. I couldn't believe it. But St. Louis is a huge hockey town. Huge hockey town. And I had no idea, but they were like, don't even think about it. If Chicago's in town, don't even think about it. That game's been sold out for months. And I was,
you wonder why they haven't really been able to keep an NFL franchise.
Yeah.
They actually had the Cardinals. They had the Rams. But they have not been able to.
And the Cardinals do well. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Cardinals do well.
But it's baseball.
It's baseball. What about
technically they actually have a great football team. The Kansas City Chiefs are in Kansas City, Missouri.
True. And probably one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. So
he is. He seems to be saying and doing all the right things too right now for us in Kansas City. Because his wife probably needs to lose her Twitter on her phone. That would help.
Well,
I think we know somebody else in the States too that got hurt with Twitter, right?
Well, yeah, you know what? I think he might have done all right if he didn't have a Twitter account. He probably would have done a second term if he didn't have a Twitter account.
I can't tell you how many times I just said, somebody stop him. grab his phone.
But you know, maybe Giselle can give her some hints on what to do. But you know,
that divorce.
Yeah.
Right? Wow. That
just goes to show.
I mean, to come back to the season that he's on right now, and that, like, you know, that's too bad. That's going to really taint his last year. That's
big time. And then that dude, I think his name is Connor, I think, just up and retired, and he was like, I'm done. It's time for me.
He's like, I'm out.
I'm out. I'm gonna stay home and look after kids and be a stay-at-home dad. And there's Brady.
No wife, no receivers, no nothing.
Yeah. Anyways, that was our tangent for tonight. Football, baseball, hockey. What are you? So I know when you were in Manitoba, like, you got into the birds. You said in Winnipeg it was full. North, South Dakota, you had seen the birds. But what's the general consensus? Like, is there was a lot of worry that there wasn't a great hatch last year. So this year's hatch was good. So they're expecting the numbers to be great next year. But last year's hatch wasn't great. And now they're saying this year's bird population isn't going to be good. But I'm seeing lots of birds. I'm hearing fellas saying the birds are good. What did you guys notice when you were traveling around?
We would have to say that the hatch looks that it looks good.
Yeah.
I can't say like great or anything, but it looks a lot better than it did the year before.
Okay.
We killed a lot of molts and young ones, but you can also tell, you know, snows and blues and how many juvies there were, not giant numbers, but
right.
You could also see one day we had about, maybe 8 was about the biggest win day we had. But it went up. It started at 8 and it really went to about 15 or 16.
Okay.
You want to talk about really seeing young birds and how young birds can react? Get a 20-mile-an-hour wind on a flock of anything, and you'll be able to tell which ones just started flying and which ones
right.
didn't.
Yeah,
they look like, you know, one would go up, one would go down. It looks like they're going to sit somewhere. You know, one looks like an idiot, like he doesn't know how to fly. One hits the ground and rolls over like it was the first time he tried to land.
Really?
You don't think of that, but you actually notice a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I bet.
And when you're landing them and stuff, you really start seeing. I mean, you'll see one that, you know, lands 55 yards away. Well, he didn't mean to do it. He landed over there, and he's just like, shit, I needed 10 more wing beats. You know, is this how you guys do it? You know?
Yeah.
You actually can see a lot of that, and you did see way more of that. So I would say that expectations are good. I would say duck expectations are way better than I thought. I kept hearing, I saw a DU survey. I saw all kinds of stuff that was looking bad.
Yeah.
That's not what we saw in the area that we were at, which would be what most of it would be Central Flyway, but some of it does go down to Mississippi. Right. So what we saw, we were really encouraged, you know.
Awesome.
But that was just that area. Now, I've heard from buddies and stuff in Saskatchewan that it's been a little bit different.
Okay.
Some have said in pockets it's been good. And then some of them have said that the numbers aren't even as good as the year before and things like that. But, you know, Saskatchewan is a different animal when you, depends where you go. I mean,
big time.
We've been seeing pictures from our buddy Phil, and there's a lot of ducks in his photos and not a lot of geese.
Yeah.
Well, when we were in Saskatchewan a couple of years ago, we shot everything but Canada's. I don't think we shot one Canada the whole week that we were out there, but Specks, Blues, Ross, and then everything duck. We shot a lot of it, but Canada's we didn't see it. But Phil and them, Mark. I'm looking at Jordan Stone's stuff that he's putting out. I'm not used to seeing the snows like when you see like a field of like 20,000 fucking snows into it. So I don't know what the snow population, what's good and what's bad, because I've got nothing to compare it to. But he's showing videos of fields of snows, and I'm like, holy smoke, like this is insane. But I've got nothing to compare it to, so I don't know if it's good or bad.
Yeah, what I always think different about Saskatchewan is just the area itself. I mean, I know people who think, oh, I hunt in Saskatchewan every year, and they're, they're minutes away from Regina or from Saskatoon. And I'm like, man, you're 7 hours away from North Battleford or way up there where farming practice starts, where Manitoba, you can get past Winnipeg. Yeah, you can get 3-4 hours, and farming practice is just starting. Where Saskatchewan, if you're hunting Saskatoon, you're that could be a whole different world than 7 hours north where farming practice starts.
Yeah, so big time.
I always try to just do it that way. There's a guy up in North Battleford. His stuff is at a lot of geese. And then I've seen guys in Saskatoon that run around that area. And like you said, they're it's been a lot of ducks. It's been like the dry field ducks, and it's been that kind of thing or whatever. So I think you got to get to about November, somewhere around there before you start really seeing what's going to roll out of Saskatchewan.
Yeah, that's fair. It looked like we were going to get an early start to fall here. Last year we had an extremely warm fall. And then last week we were getting frost warnings at night. I was waking up in the morning. It was like 3 degrees Celsius in the mornings. And I was like, oh yeah, fall is on. Birds are moving, wood ducks. And so here's one for you. And Mark, you've hunted in the areas that I hunt. I have not had a teal decoy this year. I've never, ever, ever not had teal decoy. And this year, and there's lots of teal around, probably gone now because I haven't been out for the last 2 days. But teal buzz and not decoying. I've never not had teal mallards all the time. Mallards are hit and miss on if they'll decoy at the beginning of the season. But teal, I was so frustrated because I love the buggers. I do. I just absolutely love them. And I've bought a new gun. I've switched to a 20 gauge. So I'm trying. So here I am with a new gun trying to knock down these rockets blowing past me. Holy smokes. But not decoying for me at all.
Wow.
Yes. So weird. And Mark, you've hunted the areas that I have, and usually this time of the year, that's what I'm bringing home is green and blue teal.
Yeah, for the first month of the season.
Yeah,
they're usually around.
Yeah, but now I tell you, wood ducks up here, amazing. Tons of wood ducks up here. So but anyways, to get to my point, I thought we were going to get that, fast start to fall, to cooler weather and stuff. But, I woke up this morning and it was like 18 degrees this morning when I woke up. So, probably around 67, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm like,
I think we only had one day that had frost, we had to blow it off decoys and stuff. It was the only morning that we had it. So,
and that's strange for Western Canada,
for up there. Cause it's usually 2 or 3 days. It's, it's more than one for sure.
Yeah.
So
big time.
Yeah.
Big time. All right, boys. Well, I think we've come to our time. We're about there. So we'll tidy this up. Eric, buddy, thanks so much for coming on again. I love it because I just send you a message. I'm like, hey, Eric, you want to come on the show? Yeah, man, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. You're always so quick to jump on and
you bet.
And remember, you don't need for me to send you a message. Just, hey, Damien, we should do the show and come on.
Yeah.
And come on anytime, buddy. I love to have you on. Love chatting with you and stuff. So we'll go around the table, give you last word, Eric, and then we'll call her a show. Mark.
Good seeing you again, Eric.
Yeah.
It's good to hear about your trip out west. Living vicariously through you guys right now.
Yeah, good time.
As much as I should. So it's good to see this stuff. Keep putting it out there for us and sharing it with us. So anyways, have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Appreciate it.
Eric, buddy.
Yeah, so I love the format, like I've always said, just feels like friends just chatting or whatever. So I hope once in a while we say something that somebody listens to or learns or whatever.
Yeah.
We did do, I do want to just put a shout out there. Besides the hunting, Stahl killed a bunch of like just little videos about the panel blinds and some things that we take for granted. We forget because we do it day in and out. We always tell people how simplistic it is and how simple it is and this and that, but we forget that it actually took some time to get there. We didn't take them out of the boxes years ago and just, set them up. We went from poles to stabilizers to this. And we started thinking about it because we have a lot of people who, and this goes back to this comment about like, sometimes, we're jerks where we get a comment about like, hey man, this thing doesn't work for me at this and that or whatever. Your first thought is like, this thing is not that hard. Like, how can this be difficult for you or whatever? And we forget, we take for granted that it took a long time for us to get to places and just little things on the doors and how to do this and how to do that. And there was one that was so simple, which was, he labels the fronts and the backs. So he takes the fronts, he puts F's on the fronts, he puts B's on the backs. And people are like, why the hell will you do that? Well, the B's, you grass just to the top of the blind.
Yeah.
The fronts, you'd grass all the way up. Why? Because the backs, if you put the top on and there's grass, the top doesn't,
Yeah.
Well, it took us a couple times. I mean, we screwed it up the first time and then we, or whatever.
Of course.
And now we just, we think, so now when somebody says something, we're like, oh, what an idiot,
Yeah.
I mean, how the hell do you not figure that out? But that's kind of what he was getting at. Like sometimes we're our own worst enemy to each other with knowledge transfer with some of that. So while we were up there, he knocked out a ton of stuff. He did a great one about a dog in the blind, grassing, labeling, a little bit of like how, the organized trailer works for us, how we do it, some of that stuff. So it'll be real short stuff. It'll be on Tangle Free first. I think it'll go to RMT calls as well. And that kind of deal, but check those out. Those are super cool.
No, we'll share them 100%. And you know what? Like, it's good when, if anybody is intimidated, and I would assume that there are people that's intimidated, because I would have been, and I guess I sort of kind of still am, when it comes to asking some of the questions, like, why would you do that? Do you know what I mean? So when you guys are just making those videos and putting them out, that takes away any of the intimidation that someone would have in the asking the question, because if it didn't work for them, right? Like when you guys are swearing by the top for the panel blind, and then I've heard so many people say, I've never used the top. I've never hunted with the top, but I've heard so many people say it doesn't work. But I wonder, did they actually know how to put it together properly and use it the right way? Do you know what I mean? So
100, yeah. If you take the front of a panel blind and you grassed it to the top, and you take a panel top and you take the flip top and you grass it to the edge, guess what's going to happen? There's going to be a gap that big. And if they get down the side of that thing, I mean, it's like looking down, a stadium row, right? That took us, I mean, we didn't know that right away.
Right.
Stahl flew drones the first year. I mean, we did all kinds of stuff. As simple as, I think he's brought this up to you guys before, the black hoodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know everybody's like, oh, you know, the whole goose hunting black hoodie thing or whatever. There's an actual reason behind that. He flew drones, and you know what you could see most out of everything was a dude in a camouflage hat.
Yeah.
Don't know why, but it's something with the background or whatever, and a guy sitting there. And that's Optifade, by the way. That's it, the Optifade. I know the science behind it. All of a sudden, the guy next to him had a black hoodie and a black hat on. And it was like, why the hell does that look so much better? You know, I don't know, shadow this and that or whatever. So we didn't come up with that. We didn't innovate that. We got that by trial and error. And it's like, yeah, you know, we should pass these things along. We want people to be successful. Why would you not give them these little tips? And again, it's not swear by. It's just, hey guys, this helps us, and try it. This you know, this might help you. But egos get in the way. A lot of shit gets in the way when people try to do knowledge transfer. So
big time. But I think it says a lot about the person and a lot about the brand, and you know what? Take the brand out of it. But it says a lot about the person when they can look back and go, oh shit, you know what? Maybe I should explain while we're doing this, because while it's second nature to me, it may not be for somebody else. I always remember when Corey was on, and he was talking about, I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was decoys. I'm not sure. Anyways, and he was like trying to get them perfect before he put them out onto market, right? And he was like hemming and hawing about certain things and about this and about that, and he wasn't happy with this and happy about that. And meanwhile, you guys were putting them to work out in the field every day, and Stahl just said to me, he's like, dude, they're good.
Do it.
We're killing birds over them. Like, we're putting them. So, I guess the lesson I'm trying to get in this is when somebody says, oh, that's junk, that doesn't work. I don't think there's a company out there, regardless of who you are. I don't think there's a company out there that blindly puts a product on the market without testing the shit out of it.
Yeah, and it probably works for them in whatever way possible.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, whatever it is. You can get somebody on here that would say you're crazy for trying to shoot a goose with a 20 gauge, or you're or whatever it is. But you know, as long as you strip your ego away and you're just sharing knowledge to share it with people, and you 100%. Enjoy sharing it, and you know, and I don't think you can be bashed for that. I guess there's haters and people are, you know. But I think sharing your experience, good or bad or whatever, you know, the panel blinds, the stabilizers that you put the panel blinds in, you know, one of the first years we closed the doors, so it looked, when we put them together, it looked like you had like all these chopped sections. And when a guy tried to get out of the thing, he had his bag and he had all this stuff, and he's trying to get out the little door, and it was a disaster. And now with the stabilizers, you take the back of them, so everybody after a hunt is always trying to grab their shit, you know, and their bags and all this stuff. And we always say, no, don't grab anything. Just go out, start picking up or whatever. We come up, we just take the backs off, and all of your stuff is laying there on the ground. Then you can come in and you can get this stuff. There's no reason to try to grab your 5 geese, your stool, your bag, your gun case, try to squeeze out of the freaking hole, you know? It's like, no, just stay put. We got this.
It's like getting off the fucking airplane, eh? With all the
you know,
that's awesome.
Like, just stay. You're good. Just walk out, and you're gonna be fine. Nobody's gonna steal your shit in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then you remove the back of the panel blinds. The fronts are still on the stabilizer. It just exposes everything. Stuff is just laying there.
Yeah.
Now go up and get your stuff, you know, kind of thing.
Awesome.
So it was a bunch of that stuff or whatever. So yeah, look for that stuff.
Yeah, I will. And we'll share it. We'll share it on our social media when we see it. We'll keep an eye out for it. And if you see it, please tag us in it just so that in case we miss it. Everybody, this was episode 117 of the Union 0430. Thanks to Eric Massey for coming on once again. Always a treat to have you on, Eric.
Thank you.
One of the most down-to-earth people that we've ever met. So big love to you. Big love to your family. If I don't get a chance to talk to you, buddy, have a wonderful American Thanksgiving. Good luck to your young fellow in college ball this fall. We are who we say we are. We'll never pretend to be someone we're not. Big love. Be nice to one another. Surround yourself with good people. Ciao.